You're gonna wanna watch this video if you're considering any piece of land here in Ontario. We're gonna save you a lot of headaches and potentially tens of thousands, maybe hundreds of thousands of dollars by avoiding these common mistakes. Now, I get people all the time reaching out to me and they're looking, to build their dream home, but they wanna know exactly how do I go about that? And yeah, they'll bring up, maybe they found a piece of land here in the Waterloo region for $150,000. It's got 10 acres of land, absolutely gorgeous, ready to be developed. Hold on, not so fast. It sounds like you're not gonna be able to build on that piece of land. Something of that size here, you're probably looking anywhere between, say, $900,000 and $1.5 million, depending on how much of that land is buildable. So the first thing you want to be aware of is, what is the zoning of that property, right? Are you looking to have livestock on that property? If you're in the city of Kitchener, definitely not. They're not gonna allow you to have chickens or a cow in the backyard. But if you're out in the country, over in Cross Hill, over in St. Clements, certain rural areas there, you'll be able to have livestock on your property. If you're looking at a property within the city limits, maybe you're gonna be looking to build 5 or 6 units. Does the zoning allow for that? Will you need a minor variance? That's another thing you're gonna have to be aware of. So making sure that the property that you're looking at lines up with what you would like to do with the property and the zoning come together and it does comply. A lot of times when you are looking for properties here within the Waterloo region or anywhere in Ontario, you're gonna encounter 2 different types of zoning, which doesn't allow you from building on it. That's going to be an environmental protection zone and an open space area. There you'll be able to do potentially some hunting, some fishing, maybe some ATV. This is only going to be for recreation and you won't be able to build anything on that property. The next thing that people don't really think of is, what are the development charges? Here in Ontario, we have development charges. Alberta, you do not. That's one thing to really be aware of. And this could cost, anywhere from $10,000 to $100,000, depending on the scope of the build. Even as simple as something in the backyard, you're looking to build a new unit. Maybe you're looking at 1,500 square feet, a nice big granny flat. That's going to cost you maybe $20,000, $30,000 in development charges. Now, maybe you're looking at buying a piece of land. You're a farmer. You're looking at having some crops there. You're going to have to be well aware of, what are the water rights of that property? How much can you water? How much water can you use? Even if you do have your own water source, maybe you have a pond on the property, well, you can't just drain that all the way down if you need to have that much water that year in order to tend to the crops. Make sure and be well aware of how much water can you use on that property. This won't really pertain to somebody looking at a building lot in a city per se, because you're not looking to grow potatoes or onions. Now, the next one's a pretty big one. It's evaluating the property as well as the utilities. Now, looking at the property itself, what are you going to build there? Are you building a house? Are you going to build a walkout basement? If you're building a house and the land isn't flat, well, you're going to spend a lot of time filling and moving dirt around in order to get a flat surface in order to build. Where are the utilities located on the property? Are there utilities on the property? Is there a well? Is there a septic system? Is the gas line at the front of the property? Do you have to pipe gas in from a kilometer away? These are all things you'll have to take into consideration. And especially a septic system, even that can vary quite a bit. I had a client last year looking at purchasing a home here within New Dundee, which is just about a 5-minute drive southwest of Kitchener. Beautiful property, very well maintained, built in the 1960s. The septic system was original, so that would have needed to be replaced in order to build a secondary suite within that property. And I started to call around. I knew roughly what I would be charged, probably between $12,000 and $35,000. But what I was unaware of is how poor the soil is within that area, and the closer you are to Alder Lake and the bodies of water within that area, potentially more expensive it is because of the poor drainage within that area. And we were getting quotes anywhere from $50,000 to $75,000. Now, some of the hidden costs of developing the property, we've went over the development charges. What about the building permits? What about the other infrastructure requirements. For example, if you're looking at building a house in the city, is there a sidewalk? The city's going to want a sidewalk in place, and you're going to be paying for it, not the city. Now, this governing body right here is going to be the first point of contact whenever you are buying a piece of land, and that is going to be the environmental protection agencies for wherever you are. Here in the Waterloo region, that's going to be the Grand River Conservation Area. And many times when you are buying a piece of property, it might be GRCA controlled, it might be in full control, it might be partially controlled, or it might not be controlled by the GRCA at all. And you're going to need permission even before the city in order to build something on that property. If it is on a steep, if there's some soil erosion, if there's a floodplain, you're going to need permission, or you might not even be able to build something on that property within that location. So that's going to be your first point of contact. Easements and encroachments, and this kind of goes hand in hand with surveys. So whenever you're buying a property, make sure that there's a relevant survey or have a survey done to make sure that, yeah, you know what, I'm paying for an acre. I want an acre of land. I want it staked out, because sometimes, the agreement of purchase and sale might say an acre, but you get there and it's 0.9, and that can make a world of a difference depending on your build. And of course, you are paying for an acre according to the agreement of purchase and sale. Another thing is, are there any encroachments on the property? Did the neighbor build a fence on your side of the property? That's pretty common. Is there a shed right on top of the property line that needs to be, frankly, moved or torn down? There needs to be a solution for that. Now, internet connection and cell phone coverage, and this is more going to pertain to if you're looking for something in a rural area, if you're looking to buy that beautiful dream home with acres of land, are there fiber optics in that area? Because, living in the modern day, 2024, you're still going to need high-speed internet. Even if you don't necessarily need high speeds, when you go on to sell that house one day, you're definitely going to want high speeds for the average consumer, because that's essentially what they're looking for, as well as what is the cell phone coverage like in that area. Now, insurance considerations. Is your house located near a floodplain? Does some of the property border a floodplain? This could have a major impact on your insurance. In Ontario, we don't really have that many forest fires, so that's one thing that we don't really have to worry about. One thing we do worry about is tornadoes. So northwest of Waterloo, we're looking at places like Drayton, north of there, Mount Forest towards Lake Huron. That's considered Tornado Alley, and even the homes within that area, they're going to have backup generators because of the frequency of tornadoes. So you are going to be paying a little bit of a premium for insurance in those locations. Now, what's it going to cost to build that property? Are you looking to go on the cheap end, $200 a square foot? Are you looking to do luxury at $1,500 a square foot with imported travertine tiles from Italy and the best of the best? It's one thing to take note of. Also, the timing in which you are buying the property and building on that property, because in some cases it could be a year, even for a normal build. You could be a year out from planning, staging, permitting, getting the contractors in place, and building. A perfect example is back in 2020. We'll look at the lumber prices. You were around $350. If you waited a year, you could have paid $1,600, not to mention all the other materials that went up in cost. Some things were 50%, 100%, or 150% or more than you were before 2020. So mitigating that risk, of course, we had a once in a lifetime scenario play out, but it's one thing to be cognizant of is what is the general economy like at that time. Now, finally, mitigating risks. And maybe buying a piece of property that's vacant isn't for you. Maybe it makes sense to buy something that's a house that's already built that needs work. You're not going to get exactly what you wanted at the end of the day, but you're going to save yourself a lot of headache. Undertaking a build is not, going to the grocery store or vacuuming the house or cleaning the house. It's something that, frankly, a lot of people don't do quite often, and a lot of people are not well versed in. So maybe it does make sense to spend that money renovating the property. The building permits, if you are looking to add an addition, are going to be far faster than if you're looking to build a home. And then, of course, at the end of the day, you want to pick an experienced agent within that area. If you're looking here in the Waterloo region, I would be more than happy to help you. You can book a call with me in the first link in the description or call, text, or email.